Our story begins with Robert Carter, a man posthumously crowned king. At his death in 1732, his empire was staggering. 300,000 acres, 1,000 enslaved people, and a vast cash fortune. But this wealth was not simply grown in tobacco fields. It was engineered by a ruthless and sophisticated capitalist mind. A crucial source of his power was his position as the land agent for the vast Fairfax Proprietary. This was the ultimate insider trading. Carter used his privileged knowledge to grant the most fertile and strategic lands to himself and his family. He was a master of vertical integration, a concept far ahead of its time. He owned ships to bypass English merchants, imported goods to sell in his own plantation stores, and acted as the region's de facto bank, foreclosing on smaller planters to absorb their land and enslaved laborers. Carter industrialized his plantations, training enslaved people in valuable trades like blacksmithing, then renting out their skilled labor for direct profit. This transformed human beings into a diversified, income-generating asset pool. Finally, he wielded architecture as a weapon of psychological dominance. His grand mansion, Coratoman, and the magnificent Christ Church he funded were designed to project divinely ordained authority, cementing his status as a colonial king. If King Carter built the dynasty's imposing exterior, his son Landon reveals the psychological rot within. The key is his private diary, an unfiltered look into an enslaver's mind that shatters the myth of the omnipotent master. Landon's daily life was a state of perpetual anxiety and conflict, a constant war of wills against the enslaved community at Sabine Hall. His diary meticulously catalogues their resistance, feigned illnesses, work slowdowns, and sabotage. He suspected a man named Nassau of trying to poison him and raged at the defiance of Guy, whose repeated escapes exposed the true limits of a master's power. This constant rebellion corroded his sanity. His torment extended to his own son, whom he feared would squander the family empire. Fascinatingly, Landon was a severe hypochondriac, obsessed with imposing Enlightenment science on his chaotic world. He conducted bizarre and brutal medical experiments on himself, his family, and the enslaved, a desperate, chilling attempt to control the unpredictable nature of life and the unyielding human desire for freedom. The final, most radical chapter belongs to Robert Carter III, grandson of the king. In 1791, he initiated a legal act that was almost unthinkable for his class, the Deed of Gift, a plan for the gradual emancipation of his more than 500 enslaved people. The motivation was not political, but intensely spiritual. Carter's life was a restless religious quest, leading him from the elite Anglican Church to the persecuted Evangelical Baptists, and finally to the mystical teachings of Emanuel Swedenborg. This journey crystallized a profound conviction. Slaveholding was a mortal sin that would condemn his eternal soul. The deed itself was a legally complex schedule designed to survive in a hostile legal system. The reaction was ferocious. His planter peers viewed him as a class traitor threatening their entire social order. His own children were so outraged they actively tried to have him declared legally insane to nullify the deed and seize their inheritance. Ostracized and embattled, Robert Carter III spent his final years fighting in court to fulfill his radical act of conscience, a man who chose to dismantle the very empire he was born to lead.